Law Talk with Nick Maruchak, thanks to MKI Legal, your trusted employment and family lawyers.
I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Good reflexes by you there, Nick. You responded well. How are you?
I'm great, thank you, Bowie.
That's good. But we might try and cover this more comprehensively on another day if we can get Tammy on the phone. Remember a little while ago we looked at an infringement received for flicking a cigarette from a vehicle. Mm-hmm. It was given to Tammy's hubby Brad, and we think it was by the Keep Australia Beautiful Council. Yep. Invigilators, surveillance people. It's been reviewed, and no further action will be taken.
Well, that is great news for her because the warning that I gave to Tammy and to other listeners is sometimes if you get issued with a fine that's not from the police, so from the local council or from the Keep Australia Beautiful Council, and you take it to court and you lose, you might also have to pay legal fees. So it might be a couple of grand or $3,000 or $5,000 you have to pay if you lose. So it's always a big risk over a fine, even if you're in the right.
So we'll try and get Tammy on because that and we talked about that notion of dobbing people in on the day, you and I, as well as with the broader audience as well. So it sounds like Tammy and Brad. So Brad was pinged for flicking a cigarette butt out the car window, and he said, well, "No, I didn't." And it's been reviewed, and no further action will be taken. We'll talk to Tammy in ensuing days. G'day, Bernice. How are you?
Oh, well, thank you. Good morning, gentlemen. Just a query, actually, please, Nick. Approximately 3 years ago, we were advised by our finance people what might be a good idea as we were on a pension to organise a funeral for one of us, which we did, even though we were in very good health, fortunately. And sort of 3 years on, things have changed and funerals aren't so huge as they used to be, I don't think. And so, ideas change. So I rang them up and asked, was it possible to change anything on it? And they advised me that I had to go to the people who held the money, which I did. Well, they just said, no, you've got to advise in writing of any changes, but there would be no refund. Is that right when it's our money?
When you have prepaid insurance, there is a number of different arrangements you can have. You can have funeral insurance, which is like an insurance policy that you'll pay, and then when the time comes, they'll cover it. And sometimes you can have prepaid funeral contracts, so that's kind of when you prepay in advance. Or you can also have funeral bonds, which is it's more like a savings kind of investment product. So do you know if your one was the insurance one? Because if it's insurance, my understanding would be it wouldn't be recovered because it's just you pay your insurance policy and it's whether you claim or not. Or was it the prepaid one?
I think this is contract. I think it's a contract with it's not with the people that actually organised or wrote up the funeral. Someone else holds your money. So I think it was a contract, but I'm not positive.
So some of the things you want to do is you want to have a look at the policy because the policy will have provisions in there about cancellation and termination. Did you get help from a financial advisor as well on this?
Yes, well, they advised us, that it would be a good idea because you mightn't have the money when the time comes. So, good to get it done sort of thing. But ideas have totally changed in the last 3 years for most people, I think.
Yeah.
Or for funerals.
Yeah, so generally the funeral insurance, you won't have a refund. Sometimes if it's a prepaid one, it might have something called a surrender value. So if you do cancel it, you do get a bit of a partial refund. So it all depends on what type of setup you have. The fact that you have a financial advisor helping you, they also owe you duties, right? So I would also give them a call too, speak to them because since the Royal Commission a few years back, financial advisors have really got more, there's more onus on them to act in your best interest. So that one is I would take those two steps. Get the policy, check it, the termination, and also speak to your advisor. But if things go wrong, right, then you can go to, there is an organisation called the Australian Financial Complaints Authority, AFCA. They govern both financial advisors and insurance companies as well. So AFCA is a great organisation to contact as well if you're not getting anywhere in the short term, Bernice.
AFCO, is it AFC?
Yeah.
AFCA.
AFCA, so Australian Financial Complaints Authority, AFCA.
Oh, okay.
AFCO, Bernice.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Thank you.
You okay with
Yep.
that?
Yeah, lovely. Thanks for your help. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bernice. Brad sent you an SMS. Nick, if you have time, can you please ask Nick my question? I have a swimming pool and the next door neighbour's palm trees are lifting my brick paving around the pool. What do I do? Is it my problem? Because they are his trees, it's his problem.
I would say they're his trees because there was an area of law called trespass, or nuisance, right? So they're the two areas. If if a plant is encroaching onto your land, then what he can do is he can just cut the roots off, right? Because as soon as it's on his property, whether it's an overhang or underneath, then you cut that off. So that's step one.
Yeah.
If it's a bit more complicated than that, then I would potentially write to them and say, look, this is trespass or nuisance, and I'm going to take a claim against you in the magistrate's court unless you cut it off, and then see if that fixes the job. But generally speaking, I think he has something.
So have a chat first.
Yeah,
then
have
maybe,
a chat first.
maybe send an email second.
Yep. And then magistrate's court, right?
Yeah.
So I would.
Would Brad be sorry to interrupt, Nick, would Brad be within his rights to dig a hole and just cut the roots off?
Oh, absolutely. That's what so absolutely. So if any plant is encroaching on your land, whether above or below, you can cut that off. So that's the first thing I would recommend. Just cut it off. And if that does the job, problem solved.
Yeah. My neighbour, Phil, he's a good fella. My Grevillea olivacea's hanging over his garden. He just asked me, is it all right if I cut it off? I said, yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
It's just being neighbourly, isn't it?
That's
Unfortunately, it doesn't always work like that.
Yeah. So the legal advice I give is just straightforward, the black letter of the law. But obviously you have to put the humanity in there. And I think that's where you come in, Bowie.
Humanity's good.
Yeah, have a chat. Be nice
in
to
the heart.
people. Be nice to people. Don't just exercise your strict legal rights straight away. So I think I just have to add that disclaimer on everything I say.
There you go, Brad. Hope that helps. Let us know how you're going. It probably depends on the type of tree, Brad. If you've got a ficus or a rubber tree or one of those really, really nasty invasive species, it's going to not only lift your pool paving bricks, probably lift your house up as well eventually. We'll come back in just a moment. Nick Maruchak's with us from MKI Legal. The lines are open, 133 882. Give us a hoy. Yeah, thanks for listening in. Nick Maruchak's with us today from MKI Legal. Give us a hoy if you'd like to chat to Nick today. G'day, Ed.
G'day, how you going, Simon?
Good, thank you, Ed.
I have an issue with I just heard you talking about trees and neighbours. I have a tree on my front verge, a large gum tree. It was there when we bought the house about 5 months. We've been to the Shire about 5 times because they own it. And we're not allowed to cut it, but we've got one big bough that hangs over our house, and the honky nuts on the tin roof are just absolutely unbelievable, especially when the black cockatoos get in there. Where do we stand from a legal point of view? Because they're saying we can't cut it or they'll fine us $20,000.
Yeah. That is right. There are some trees that are actually protected trees. So you're right in mentioning that. So so that is so I would be careful with that because these are like regulated trees of some sort that there are fines. So the general rule is outside of this regulated tree, if anything comes over your property, you're entitled to cut that part off and not touch the rest. But with these regulated trees, especially if the council has warned you, because these trees sometimes are subject to like extra protections, I might need to look at it further just to see if there's anything in the law that will prevent you from cutting that. Just because you're not destroying the whole tree, just cutting the branches that are on into your property. The other thing is if the tree is somehow unsafe, right? Then councils usually have the power to rectify that. So if you speak to a tree person, I believe they're called arborist.
Arborist, yes.
Arborist, right?
Yep.
They can kind of potentially give you a report to say whether this tree is safe, unsafe in any way. And that's more along the lines of the tree's going to fall down and stuff like that. But if there's a safety issue, then you do have the rights to take this further. So if you like, Ed, what I can do is I'll probably research to see if there's anything specifically in your shire that what is the exact law. and whether the law applies to cutting down the tree, which definitely does, or whether it just the branches itself.
Ed, it says on our screen here that you're from Australia. It doesn't say what shire you're in. What shire are you in, mate?
Swanshire.
All right.
Swan. All right.
Worth giving them a call, mate?
City of Swan. We've been to them about
You have?
5 times. They've been out here.
Yep.
And they say it meets the guidelines, but it's just unbearable. The nuts on the roof. We don't mind laying on the lawn. We can pick them up and put them in the bin. We love the tree, but it's just this one big bough that's right over our roof. And one day I think it's going to come down too.
And they're not playing ball, hey?
No, they've started to ignore us now.
Oh, man. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
That's hopeless.
And you can't get to see anybody. You just get to see the service person sitting at the front.
Yeah, that's hopeless. Seriously.
Which is pretty poor, really. And as I said, we got one on the side because we're on a corner.
Yep.
And that's huge, but that's something that's sort of the other way. So that doesn't worry us at all. It's great.
So the council aren't talking to Ed, Nick. Which is a pretty unusual, I would have thought. What could he do?
Yeah, so when you ever have a dispute with the council, the place that you go to is the State Administrative Tribunal, right? So they have powers to review certain decisions they make. That's one thing. But there is another organisation where you can make complaints about councils. I don't have it top of my head, but there is a government organisation where you can complain. I think that's right, it's coming to me now. Have a look at the Western Australian Ombudsman. Mm-hmm. So give the Western Australian Ombudsman a call. They can review decisions of an administrative type nature by various government departments, including councils.
Have you got anything in writing, Ed, an email or anything?
Oh, we've got that many emails. It's not funny.
Yeah.
And they agreed, like he came down, the arborist came down and agreed they'd do a load reduction and take some of it off.
Mm.
Then about 4 weeks later, when they were, or about the time he said it'd be 4 to 5 weeks before they come and did it. That's not a problem. And then we get an email from him as if he'd never been here, that it all met the guidelines and they were happy with it.
Oh, that's a pain in the bum, that is.
We're going to cut.
Yeah. Maybe
on the side ones,
yep,
which we didn't complain about, they said that the boughs had to be at least 2.4 metres off the ground. They'd trim them off too, because that one's nearly...
Yeah. So, Ed, I reckon try if they're not getting any joy from the City of Swan, try the Ombudsman. We can maybe put a call into them as well, mate, through our media channels, because that's not okay. Give that a try, mate. The Ombudsman or the State Administrative Tribunal. If you need a hand, just let us know and we'll help out. Thanks, Ed. G'day, Anthony.
Hey, mate. How you doing?
Good. What's happening?
Just giving you guys a call. I know Seb works on the radio with you guys.
Yes.
On the 19th of September, I had a party boat for my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
On the night, my sister had a seizure, and we had to dock up at the boat ramp to get my sister off and rush her to hospital.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
So they're refusing to give my bond back because they're saying that one of the people getting off the boat illegally got off the boat and didn't use the causeway, apparently. But I don't see how that can affect my bond on a boat.
Yeah, I do remember this. So your sister had a medical emergency. You had to dock. Where was it at? EQ? Is it Elizabeth Key from memory?
Yeah, Elizabeth Key. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what do you reckon, Nick? You gone?
Oh, sorry. So they keep saying it was a panic attack, but I was like, they're trying to downplay it when it was a seizure.
Yeah. All right. Wow.
Okay, so the first thing I want to have a look at is you want to have a look at their contract. They would have sent you a contract, and that would regulates how this bond works, because the idea of the bond is obviously to compensate them for any loss or any damage that's done. So you want to have a look at that first. And have you had a look at that?
No, I haven't. I don't even think I even got it, to be honest.
Okay, so ask for that. Have a look at those terms, and then just read the contract, and if they don't have the right to the bond back under the contract, and when it comes to and you interpret it differently, then write to them about that and say you don't have the right there, because this will come down to a contractual argument, right? And then if you have the contractual right to your bond back, then you have to go and enforce it in the magistrate's court. So if you would like to leave your details with the producer, I'm happy to give you a call. If you send me through the contract, I can look at this a little bit further and just to go into the bit of the nuances here. But
yeah, thanks, Nick. What was the bond worth, Anthony?
It was $1,500.
Yeah, okay, so it's worth pursuing. All right. Well, mate, I'll put you back to Sophie and to Kira, and see if we can get your details. And Nick will have a. But you will need to try and follow up somehow, mate, and get either the email or whatever they sent you.
Yeah, get the contract, and then after I'll give you my email and I'll get in contact with you. I'll have a look at the contract, and then and then maybe I can probably even just send you a template letter of demand to send to them.
Yeah.
Because hopefully this is one of those things where you send a strongly worded letter, you threaten to go to the magistrate's court. You might even enclose some of the court forms, like to scare them to say, I'm going to take this further. And that sometimes is enough.
Yeah, all right. Anthony, put you back to Kira and to Sophie. Thank you, mate. It's 5 minutes to 11 o'clock. Thanks for your I wasn't aware of this, Nick. A lot of our correspondents are talking about cigarette butts starting fires on roadside verges when there's wood chips. And I've never heard of it before. Matthew sent us through an SMS before, but there's a heap of people. Have you ever heard of that?
Personally, I haven't, but I'm not surprised that it could start. So yeah, it's you have to be careful.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, that's groove is in the heart, and you have to be careful. Got a great piece of advice today from Nick.
Thanks. And stop smoking.
Just don't smoke. 4.5 minutes to 11. We'll come back, and Nick Maruchak with us from MKI Legal. A quick SMS from Joe, Nick. Joe's in Alexander. Hi, Joe. Can you please advise why Centrelink consider a prepaid funeral to be an asset? I think you've got that on the Centrelink page, don't you, Nick?
Yep. So Centrelink does have a whole page on funeral bonds and prepaid funerals. Generally, this is high level because there is complicated. They generally do not count prepaid funeral costs or burial plots as an asset when they're assessing payments, but there are a bunch of exceptions as well. So there are limits as well, like a funeral bond can be there's a maximum limit of $15,000 when it doesn't count. So I would just suggest people go to the Services Australia website and you just type in funeral bonds and prepaid funerals, and you can kind of have a look on some of the finer details. But generally speaking, funeral costs you pay for in advance don't normally count in your asset test, right? Okay. But this whole prepaid funerals, it can get complicated because there's bonds and there's sometimes it can be an asset if you're entitled to that money back, like the surrender value. You have a read of that on that, and that's what I'd recommend because a bit of exceptions there.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Nick. Thanks for your skill, your expertise, and your advice. Not only legal advice, but life advice as well.
Just to be nice to people.
Be nice to people. And groove is in the heart. Yeah. Well, thanks, mate. See you next week. Cheers. Nick Maruchak. He'll be back next week. He's from MKI Legal.